4 years ago, Eric was in the ER fighting for his life. I ghosted him and disappeared from his world. Fast forward 4 years, and I'm at a social event with my new boyfriend. Drinks are flowing, and there's Eric. My new boyfriend, all smiles, yells, "Hey, cousin, meet my girlfriend." Oh. I couldn't dodge him and found myself staring into a pair of dark, unreadable eyes. Eric pressed a finger to my lips and murmured in a low voice, "Have we met before?" Sister-in-law. At the party, I clung to Richard's arm, trying to play the perfect girlfriend. During a brief break, he mentioned, "My cousin is here too, he's that guy my mom can't stop talking about." Seriously, I admire him. He built his own business empire in less than 4 years. Richard seemed genuinely thrilled, not a hint of jealousy or resentment. Instead, he was eager. "I'll introduce you later so he can see what he's missing out on being single." His words made me chuckle, easing some of my first-time party nerves. I whispered, "I hope I won't embarrass you." Just as I adjusted my stance, hoping for some relief from my painful heels, Richard waved over to someone. "Cousin." And that's when he turned around, unmistakably Eric. Seeing him was like having champagne spilled inside my heart, spreading a bittersweet ache. All I could think was to run. But Richard held onto my hand tightly. I couldn't just tell him, "Hey, I used to be your cousin's girlfriend." I was stuck. Eric's eyes met mine, an unfamiliar gaze I've never seen from him. Then again, it makes sense. For someone like Eric, a successful heir, to be ghosted by someone like me, the poor girl from a rough neighborhood. Becoming strangers was probably his most generous move. Richard, gleaming with excitement, introduced us. "Cousin, meet my girlfriend, Melody." "Melody, this is my cousin, CEO of Ming Phone Group, Eric." I'd never seen Eric like this, perfectly styled hair, tailored suit, designer glasses, and an expensive watch. All I'd known before was a guy in tees and shorts, holding grilled sausages as he picked me up from work. We'd walk back to our tiny place, chatting about work, venting about bosses and coworkers. Eric used to be my ray of hope in a gloomy life. Now, he was like a distant crane, gazing at me from afar. "Melody, are you okay?" Richard's concerned voice snapped me back to reality. Everything felt too chaotic, so I forced myself on track. Lifting my glass with a practiced smile, I greeted, "Hello, Eric. Pleased to meet you." It was such a formal beginning to our reunion. Even saying long time no see felt impossible. I couldn't look Eric in the eye, the guilt from leaving without a word was overwhelming. But Eric offered his hand first, the same hand that once held a camera for me, touched my face, made late-night ramen. And now, it just hung between us, detached. My hand felt impossibly heavy, just dangling there. A well-dressed guy broke the tension, rushing over with news. "Richard, John needs to see you." Noticing our clasped hands, he added cautiously, "John needs you alone." John was one of the esteemed guests tonight, a legendary figure in J-City's business scene. Richard hesitated, sighed softly as if concealing hidden troubles, then forced a reassuring smile, giving my hand a gentle squeeze. "Stay put, don't wander off. I'll be back soon." Turning to Eric, Richard hadn't even spoken before Eric nodded. "Got it. I'll keep an eye on her." They spoke faster than I could object. Before I knew it, Richard was striding toward the VIP room. I was left standing, burning with embarrassment. I mean, I'm a grown woman, I don't need babysitting. Especially not from an ex. Around us, the party buzzed with laughter, but where we stood felt silent, like a vacuum. Eric swirled his wine glass while I stared at my shoes, counting the 12th rhinestone when a sudden shove hit me. We were near a wall, yet instead of pain, I opened my eyes to find Eric had cushioned the blow with his hand behind my head. My mind jerked to a halt. I was clueless about what happened with the clumsy waiter or how Eric sent him away. All I knew was our proximity, close enough that if I moved, our noses would touch, just like back when we kissed. Too dangerous. The sting of old times threatened to surface as I lowered my eyes and muttered, "Thanks, Eric." He moved his hand away, brushing my cheek. His finger traced my lips, softly asking, "Have we met before?" "Sister-in-law." Richard's worried voice cut through like an alarm. "Melody." It pulled me back. I'm Richard's girl now. Whether Eric was teasing or genuinely having a dramatic memory lapse, I belonged next to Richard. Richard hurried over, checking me over from head to toe. "Are you hurt? Any glass shards? That waiter should apologize." He was fuming. I quickly hugged his arm, calming him down. "I'm okay, see? Standing right here, good as new. Don't worry." Eric raised his glass to Richard from a distance, promising that his cousin would never let the sister-in-law get hurt. Eric heavily emphasized the words cousin and sister-in-law, giving it a hint of forbidden ambiguity. This baseless suggestion alone made me want to jump into the Yellow River's tributaries to wash myself clean, and still not succeed. Richard paused for a second, then flashed his usual bright smile back. He toasted to Eric, thanking him. "Thanks, cousin. Glad to have you around. Don't worry, I'll look after your sister-in-law." I nearly spat out my champagne. Is it possible Richard's already looking after his ex-sister-in-law right now? Shaking my head, I tossed that weird thought aside. Eric stayed calm and clinked glasses with Richard. But let's not get ahead of ourselves with the sister-in-law. There's something more pressing. His gaze shifted to me and settled on my shoes. "If those heels are uncomfortable, swap them out. People are like shoes, you shouldn't settle." Richard, who had been right by my side, never noticed. Yet Eric did. "I got it. You can change shoes, but boyfriends?" Richard knelt down to put a band-aid on me, clumsily, trying to care for me in his inexperienced, pampered way. I knew Richard wasn't my perfect match. But I couldn't change him, not when the power over this relationship wasn't mine but Richard's. Meeting Eric was like a stone hitting water, rippling out until calm again. A few days later, I casually chatted with Richard about Eric. He didn't hold back. He said his cousin must be the envy of the gods. Handsome and a commercial genius, but something's off with his head. For years ago, he spent over a month in ICU. Waking up, he claimed a girl in his dreams always cried in front of him. Said he couldn't make out her face but knew she was beautiful and heartbroken. Insisted she was his girlfriend. My third aunt, his mom, told us he'd actually had a girlfriend. Richard loosened his tie and sipped his tea at this point. As he relaxed, still, it gave me goosebumps. Could he have known all along? As I pondered my next move, Richard said slowly, "My aunt said they had broken up. He shouldn't bother her anymore. If he asks, play dumb. We didn't know anything. She was overreacting. I'd just returned from abroad back then. My cousin didn't even know me." Richard kicked back, fiddling with his tie, chuckling lazily. "But it shows she's really scared they'd rekindle things. So what do you say?" He looked me squarely in the eyes, sharp like a hunting leopard. For the first time, I saw Richard's edge, and it gave me chills. But then he smirked like a college gossip. What kind of girl is that, anyway? Caught under his stare, I nervously dug my nails into my palm to keep my eyes on his. "Life's a play, and we're just acting." "No idea," I replied as openly as I could. He shrugged, a bit let down. "Fine, forget it. He's forgotten her anyway." Back when I walked away without a word, I imagined meeting Eric again 1,000 times. Thought he'd hate me, blame me, or embarrass me publicly in revenge. It never crossed my mind that he'd completely forget me, as if I never existed. For the weekend, I joined Richard at work, moonlighting as his secretary. By day's end, he sensed my fatigue and offered to drive me home. Then Mr. John rounded up the youthful elites of J City, so Richard couldn't take partners along. Instead, Richard ordered a driver to take me home. Despite his friends urging him to join the event, Richard stayed by my side. He smiled, putting his arm around me. Rushing me, are you? I'm enjoying time with my girlfriend. What if I lose my gorgeous girlfriend? They rolled their eyes and revved their sports cars, honking so loud it had us covering our ears. Richard grumbled, wait till I make them drink. While waiting for Sam, he left his coat for me. Leaning in close, he whispered, do you like the cologne I'm wearing today, Melody? Standing too near, his breath tickled my neck, sending chills as I leaned into his arms. Embracing me, he boasted with a whistle, she's reluctant to let go. Just wait a bit more. Sometimes, I delude myself into thinking Richard's like an annoying little brother, using pranks to get attention. You haven't answered, is it nice? Yeah, you've got good taste. Though, truth be told, that cologne's loud, like what you'd expect from a jock. But I praised him, ignoring the actual taste he's got, since we're not a normal couple. Upon hearing my compliment, he beamed with satisfaction. At that moment, a black Maybach pulled up. Eric was behind the wheel, resting casually. Well, sister-in-law, what a coincidence. Hop in. I'll give you a lift. Richard stepped in front, blocking my view. His voice was no longer light-hearted, instead serious, like a business deal. No need, cousin. I called Melody's driver. Eric nodded but didn't budge. A crash happened nearby, he said, and Richard's phone rang. It was Sam. Richard exhaled, tugging at his tie in frustration. Can't you check the traffic? Take another route. She can't walk home, Sam. Sam seemed to be apologizing profusely. Richard cut him off angrily. Okay, just get stuck there then. He hung up on Sam and waved to the guys in the 5 sports cars. Can one of you lend me a car to take my girlfriend home? The guy who was honking the loudest blew a smoke ring. Richard, it's not that we don't want to help you out. We're just short on drivers, no cars to spare. Plus, he nodded to his phone, John will be here soon. You really want to have him wait? You could see Richard getting visibly anxious. I was about to say I could just get a cab when Eric stepped out of a car and approached Richard. My car's right here. No need to bother anyone else. Richard let out a cold laugh. Cousin, you're really looking out for your little sister-in-law, huh? You even predicted a traffic jam and came to pick her up. Richard's words were sharp. You could feel the tension in the air. This was one of those moments that made having a car crucial. Once I pay off my debts, I definitely need to save up for one. A short honk snapped me back to reality. Richard, get in or we're leaving without you. The rich kids were losing their patience, while Eric stayed cool as a cucumber. He calmly adjusted his watch, appearing emotionless yet somehow projecting an unspoken pressure. Everyone was pushing Richard, pushing him to leave me behind. It was awkward. I felt like a helpless pet being shuffled around. I wanted to assert myself. I can get a cab on my own. There's no need for all this fuss. Eric chuckled, you can certainly try. After work, the app just kept spinning, showing a line of over 100 people. I kept submitting my request, but got the same result each time. I resigned myself to my fate. I really wished they'd let me take the bus and then switch to the subway. It's hard to explain to rich folks, but public transport is the real MVP. Suddenly, Richard had an epiphany. Hey, cousin, what are you doing here? You weren't supposed to miss John's get-together. Eric's expression was one I knew too well. He'd been waiting for Richard to ask this question, and couldn't hide his satisfaction. John's party will go on just fine with or without me. But you're the one who can't miss it. After all, you're the one marrying into John's family, not me. Richard's face turned pale. Instinctively, he looked at me, Melody, please believe me. I'll explain everything once I'm back. He searched my face for any reaction. Sorry to disappoint, I had none. I'm 26 years old. If I didn't understand how the rich play their games and still harbored Cinderella dreams, I'd be an embarrassment to my education and life experiences. I shook my head. No need to explain. This isn't something I need to know about. Eric picked up the jacket draped over my shoulders and tossed it to Richard. You should dress properly for John's event. No jacket? Really? And change that perfume too, it makes people sneeze. Eric reached into the passenger seat, pulled out a white paper bag, and handed it to me. Go ahead, open it. Richard grabbed it first, pulling out a white blazer with a pearl rose on the collar, one I'd seen in a store with him. The price tag read $300,000. Way out of my league. Richard was losing his cool. He threw all caution to the wind and confronted Eric. What's the deal, Eric? Giving my girlfriend clothes right in front of me? The scene was suffocating. The rich kids stopped urging and poked their heads out to watch the drama unfold. It was embarrassing for a single-family spat to happen in front of everyone, and especially because of me. I wanted nothing to do with the Liu family's hassles. If this situation reached Lucy, it wouldn't end well. For years ago, I couldn't forget Lucy's injured and angry eyes. The memory clutched my heart tightly. I quickly spoke up, thank you for thinking of me, Eric. But this gift is too much. I can't accept it. Eric ignored my refusal and extended his hand toward Richard. Hand over the jacket. His tone was calm, but it carried an undercurrent of command and threat. Richard's fury intensified. His clenched teeth seemed ready to crack under pressure, but he managed to hold back his anger. He crammed the jacket back into the bag and tossed it at Eric. Eric was pleased, smiling smugly. Take it. Consider it a welcome gift, he said, throwing a challenging glance Richard's way. What little brother can't do, big bro will handle. Richard stormed off to his sports car, slamming the door shut with a resounding bang. Are you coming with me now? Eric asked with a determination that reminded me of the Eric I once loved. My common sense was screaming not to get closer to him. It would drag everyone back into unhappiness. I looked down and shook my head. Eric, this isn't right. Your boyfriend left you. Your cousin can take you home. What's wrong with that? Eric persisted. We were at a stalemate, the mix of familiarity and change swirling around us. My brain alternated between blank and scrambled. Before I knew it, I was in his car, seated in the passenger seat. Where to, sis? Eric asked. I gripped the hem of my dress and resigned, closing my eyes. The tumor hospital. Hose. Hospital? Are you okay? Eric's brow furrowed, concern etched across his face, just like the old days. It's not me, there's nothing for you to worry about, I replied stiffly, deliberately trying to create distance between us. Getting into my ex's car was already a boundary cross. I couldn't let things spiral further out of control. Eric picked up on my detached tone, understanding the barrier I was trying to erect. He must have realized that his behavior wasn't right, avoiding eye contact with me. From what I know about him, he's confused. Confused about why he acts out of character around me. Honestly, I'm puzzled too. He's different from me. I hugged 2 years of sweetness and 4 years of separation, and met him again in a crowd. But to him, I was just a passing acquaintance, even his sister-in-law. He has no reason to pay me any more attention. The car started and I caught a faint whiff of alcohol. Plus, the tension between Eric and Richard earlier was really weird. Was Eric a little tipsy earlier? I anxiously grabbed Eric's hand. Eric, stop the car. I got a serious question. Luckily, the car hadn't left the intersection, and Eric could still brake suddenly. He didn't get annoyed, just frowned slightly, waiting for what I had to say. I said, drunk driving is absolutely not okay. This caught Eric off guard. His eyebrows perked up and he couldn't help but chuckle. A client hitched a ride earlier, the smell is from him. I took some antibiotics, didn't drink today. What's up with you? When I heard Eric mention the antibiotics, I blurted out my concern. But just as I said it, I realized, X's concern is the most misplaced. Nothing, it's just sinus issues. Even if we were protagonists in some cheesy novel, we gotta follow the law. I buckled my seatbelt and blurted out. You've read a lot of those romance novels. Eric started the car, casually asking. Oh. How'd you know something I didn't? I forced a smile, just a wild guess. I lied to Eric. Back then, we were cramped in a rental place during the summer nights. The open windows only letting in soft breezes. I was holding half a watermelon, scooping out the center and feeding it to Eric. Eric, turn the page. Melody, you're reading too fast. I'm still at the part where the main character's begging his ex. Eric took my spoon, feeding me the sweetest part. I like the edges, soothing on the throat. Don't lie to me, I'm not a kid. Eric laughed, ruffling my hair. Melody, you're too harsh on the edges. This suggestion of yours is gold though. Eric said, flipping the page. This cheesy novel's quite a thrill, gives me chills. He pointed at the book. This main character's dumb. Lost memory, not common sense. Why is he getting tricked by a manipulative ex? Eric's irritated face made me laugh. Resting on his shoulder, I asked him softly. If you forgot me, would you fall in love with me again? Eric was focused on the watermelon edges. Even if I forget myself, I wouldn't forget you. I'm saying if, just if. His hands halted, thinking for a while. The cicadas outside were buzzing louder, a cool breeze brushed over me. Eric spoke, clear and firm. If I forgot you, my body would recognize you before my mind. My soul would undoubtedly love you again. The nurse changing dressings woke me from my dream. It wasn't even dawn. Remembering the past made my emotions complex. I couldn't sleep. I stared out the window, wiping my tear-streaked face. Eric's words echoed across the 4 years. Even if I forgot myself, I wouldn't forget you. Dawn was breaking. A sliver of light hitting the hospital's white walls. I sighed. Liar. Even if the treatment continues, it'll only last 3 months. Roger's words were like a death sentence when I first heard them, felt like my world was crumbling. My mom worked hard her whole life. Though misled at times, she never lost passion for life. Just when I grew up, ready to help her, she fell. Late-stage stomach cancer, 3 rounds of chemo. Next treatment needs more payment. If we keep using new chemo and targeted drugs, it'll cost almost $300,000. Without much thought, I firmly said. I can do it, let's proceed. Use the best meds for her. With Mom in the hospital, I'd become tough as nails. Given a chance to extend her life, I'd try anything. Though I can't fork out $300,000 now. Money can be earned, borrowed. I could sell the gifts Richard gave me. Even Eric's coat I've kept in my closet. Love is fleeting, fragile as glass. Mom's irreplaceable. Roger showed sympathy. She sighed, gave a supportive smile. No rush, pay next month. I'll fight for more support for you. Sitting outside on a bench, deep in thought. $300,000, what should I do? Ask Richard for a loan? But last time, he already. Sister-in-law. I looked up, seeing Eric. He stood there in a black coat, looking sharp. I stared at him, tears welling up. In front of someone I was once so close to, my shell of strength shattered. Inside, a part of me was breaking down. She urged me, just hold him like before. I wanted to. Desperately wanted to escape life's harshness in his warm embrace. To find refuge for my battered heart. But I couldn't. I'm his sister-in-law now. Clenching my fists, nails digging in. Coincidence, Eric. He sat beside me. No coincidence, handing me a soda. I came to see you. How'd you know I was here? Eric looked at me and seriously gave me an unbelievable answer. I don't know. So, I'm gonna walk through every floor until I find you. What if you go through all the floors and still don't find me? He pulled out his phone and presented me with a QR code, his eyes smiling. In that case, getting each other's contact info is essential. Eric was like a ray of morning sunlight, chasing away my gloom. His deliberate maneuver made me laugh, and without thinking, I agreed to his request. In the note, I wrote, "I'm Melody. I meant to tell you when we first met but forgot." Eric stared at me, "Your name is beautiful. It's like a lovely dream." I was surprised and glanced up. From a psychology standpoint, his expression had no hidden agenda. Calm and sincere, as if he were sharing his first impression of a new acquaintance. Perhaps it really was just a coincidence. He already said these words once, one early summer 6 years ago. That was our true first meeting. Eric started a photography studio with his friends during college. They needed sample photos at the beginning, so they put up ads on campus for models. At the time, I was working and studying to pay tuition, and the $600 for a photo shoot was enticing. I mustered up the courage and sent in a simple snapshot. Our school had many beautiful girls, some dazzling, some pure, some sweet. They were like a garden in full bloom. No way I was getting picked, that 600 was just not happening. But soon enough, I got a message from Eric, asking me to meet at the school track for a sailor-style photo shoot. All made up, the makeup artist took me to the field, where Eric was already waiting, camera around his neck, flashing a warm smile. His eyes crinkled into arches, and a subtle dimple played on one cheek. Sincerely, he spoke the first words between us. "Your name is beautiful, like a lovely dream." A breeze drifted by, bringing with it the scent of his laundry detergent. Instinctively, I extended my hand. "Eric, let's have a great collaboration." As I pulled out of my memory, that faint, clean scent still lingered nearby. But the clear message on my phone screen jerked me back to reality. We were back to the start. When I reached out again, it was by full name. "Melody, why are you sitting outside?" My mom had woken up and came out with a coat. Seeing Eric beside me, her expression faltered. An alarm went off in my head, but before I could stop her, she spoke up. "Eric, you're back. Not used to being abroad, were you? You've lost weight." When Eric and I split, it was so sudden I had to come up with an excuse about him studying abroad to satisfy my mom's questions. While Eric was momentarily stunned, I latched onto my mom's arm, offering support. It also helped to guide her away. "Mom, it's cold in the hallway, let's head back to the room." Sensing the odd tension, she didn't ask further. I tucked a hot water bottle under the covers, and her frail hand gently clasped mine. "Are you and Eric in touch again? He saved you back then, I still haven't thanked him properly." "Besides," she sighed softly, "it's me who dragged you two down." "Mom," I interrupted, "that has nothing to do with you. You don't need to take the blame for everything. If I hadn't married the wrong person, none of that would have happened. You two wouldn't have either." It hit me hard, and I turned away to hide tears threatening to fall. "It's not your fault. You're the best mom in the whole world. Even without all that, Eric and I weren't meant to be. A sparrow and a phoenix can't nest in the same tree. Every brief encounter is a gift from fate. So, how could I hope for forever?" With Eric showing up, the morning flew by in the blink of an eye. Soon, it was lunchtime. Just as I was heading downstairs to buy Mom some porridge, Eric nearly ran right into me. He didn't step back at all, just shook his head playfully. What, was he disappointed I didn't fall into his arms? That would be crossing the line. "What are you up to?" I asked. Eric replied, "Swinging around bags and packages, visiting your mom." I didn't bring anything earlier, felt it was pretty impolite. I stood in the doorway, worried he'd see my mom again. She didn't know about his memory loss and thought Eric was still the same as before. One conversation, and old stories would stir up trouble. "Thanks, Eric, but my mom's never met you. We shouldn't trouble you." Eric raised an eyebrow. "Never met? It's all right. After today, we'll be acquainted. I'm just checking in on a soon-to-be friend." I was stunned by his boldness. Was this the serious Eric Richard talked about? What's less serious, then? In those seconds, he slipped past me into the room, taking over my chair beside my mom. When I scrambled to intervene, it was way too late. Eric was already calling her auntie with ease. Mom smiled and engaged, enjoying the chat. On top of that, he even found time to wink at me, flaunting his victory. That expression of his, way too familiar. It's like he was an old friend returning. Before I lost my senses completely, I turned away. Huh? What is it? Eric and my mom asked in unison. I waved it off, nothing, I just thought I saw something. Out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw a familiar face past the door. It looked like Richard. Probably just seeing things. He had never asked about Mom's illness or known where she was staying. After all, we're a rather strange couple. The family from the next bed came bustling in. The woman clutched a small, red pouch tightly. What's in there? A charm for peace. I went to the temple, they said it works wonders. Keep my sweetheart safe. The girl on the bed wore a knitted hat that made her pale, slender face seem even thinner. But her eyes sparkled with happiness. Against the odds of illness and fate, there is eternal, sincere love. It's the most precious bedrock of life. I was still feeling emotional when Richard's call came in. I stepped out of the hospital room to answer it. Melody, I'm drunk and feel awful, he said. Isn't Sam with you? I asked. I don't want him. I want Melody to come get me. He was shouting over the noise on his end. Even in that environment, I could tell Richard was whining. They say your drinking habits reveal your true character. Richard was still just a kid at heart. After all, I'm still his girlfriend and can't just leave him drunk at a bar. I'll come get you. Send me your location, I replied. Soon, Richard texted me his location. It was within a kilometer of the cancer hospital. I texted back, got it. On my way. Stay put and wait for me at the bar. As I hung up, I realized I'd been unconsciously playing with a flower petal, now crumpled between my fingers. I turned to head back to the room and almost bumped into Eric. Before I could ask why he was eavesdropping, Eric held up his hands, looking innocent. I wasn't eavesdropping. I just happened to be heading back to the office. And there's only one door to the room, which you also happen to be at, he said. He even offered politely, do you need a ride? That's not appropriate, Eric, I replied, stepping back. You've already done me a favor visiting my mom, and I don't want to impose further. Eric nodded, like a boss approving a report. I finally felt some relief, but only halfway. Eric was already talking to my mom. Auntie, Melody has something to take care of. I'll take her, he said. I'll visit you again soon. I wanted to object, but saw the rare look of peace on my mom's face. She always looked worried every time I left her. I couldn't tell her the truth. Yes, he's taking me. You don't have to worry. Get some rest, I reassured her. Eric and I walked out of the hospital side by side. The fresh air was a relief, like a fish being returned to water. Get in, I'll give you a lift, Eric insisted. No need, it's close. I can walk, I replied. Not going out of my way, it's on the way, Eric said. You don't even know where I'm going, how do you know it's on the way? I asked. Eric lightly tugged at my sleeve. I'll give you a ride. No place is too far or out of the way. I shook off his hand, trying to keep my voice steady. Eric, don't do this, I pleaded. That gesture was too familiar, hard to refuse. But Eric just laughed, a dimple showing on his right cheek. It's nice, he said. In the end, I got into Eric's car because he was stubborn. He parked it sideways across the road so no one could pass until I got in. His car was expensive, so nobody dared to bump it. He was being reckless, not like a CEO but more like a fresh out of college kid. I sat in the passenger seat, turning away to avoid looking at his smug smile. Richard, he could just call a driver, Eric remarked. If it were me, I wouldn't want to trouble my girlfriend. I thought for a moment, and Eric was right. When we dated, he wouldn't even let me wash my own socks. He did all my laundry. Without hearing a response, he put on some soft music. Even though it's a short ride, with red lights, it's enough for you to close your eyes for a moment. Thanks, but you don't need to, I started. I want to, Eric interrupted, his deep voice like a storm blowing everything away. This is my choice. Please don't refuse. I was frazzled, so I closed my eyes to hide my anxiety. Eric, please, don't be like this. My overwhelming feelings are drowning me. What am I supposed to do? 2 songs later, we pulled up at the bar where Richard was. Eric insisted on coming inside with me. I'm his cousin. It's my duty to lecture the boss who skips work to drink, he said. But you skipped work too, I thought, though I didn't say it out loud. Inside, the music was so loud, it felt like it might make my heart jump out of my chest. Eric spotted Richard slouched in a booth and grabbed his loose tie, pulling him up. Richard opened his eyes halfway, giving a defiant, mocking smile. He grabbed Eric's hand, veins bulging as he forced a smile that wasn't quite friendly. I asked for Melody, not my cousin, he said, turning to me with wet eyes, pouting lips. Melody, I want you to take me, he whined. Melody is sweet, but cousin is not. Eric let go suddenly, and Richard fell back onto the sofa with no warning. Why are you upset with a drunk person? I scolded Eric, extending a hand to Richard. Get up, I'm here, I told Richard. Richard grinned like a golden retriever with a wagging tail, dimples showing. Melody's the best. Let's ignore him and make him leave. Okay? Richard's lips brushed my ear as he leaned against me, speaking in a voice so soft and needy it nearly broke my heart. Melody, promise me you won't see him again, please? With a 6-foot-tall man leaning on me, just standing was hard enough. Moving him would be impossible. Eric didn't hold grudges, though, and took Richard's arm over his shoulder. You brat. Trying to wear out Melody? He said. Richard was suddenly animated, forcefully saying, only I can call her Melody. You call her sister-in-law. Eric casually replied, I was calling her Melody before you even knew where you were. It was like lightning striking near my ear. I almost wanted to forget everything I know about psychology and just look at him like a girlfriend would. Eric's eyes were full of shock and questions. His eyes were a bit red, like he wanted to confirm something with me, but Richard interrupted just as he was about to speak. Richard grabbed Eric's shirt collar, their faces nearly touching, with their similarly sharp noses almost colliding. Did you remember? Eric reflexively asked, remember what? Seeing Eric still confused, Richard laughed a relieved laugh. Not sure if I saw it wrong, but Richard's smile had a weird hint of smugness. Shaking his head while laughing, he said, nothing, nothing. Now it was Eric's turn to panic. He realized that the answer he had been searching for, Richard knew it. Eric pushed Richard against the wall, elbow to Richard's throat. What do you know? Spit it out. Don't test my patience. His eyes were fierce like a hawk going after its prey. Richard kept smiling, the alcohol blush resembling a badge of honor. I don't know anything, I'm just a drunk fool. If you want to know the answer, go find it yourself. Then he just stopped talking. Eric, losing his cool, already had his fist raised. I rushed in and grabbed his arm. Eric, calm down. He's just drunk, why argue with him? Both of you are well regarded, even cousins, won't it look bad if you fight? Eric's eyes were red, tears glistening as he looked deeply at me. He spoke with a nasal tone, I've been looking for this answer for 4 years. Nobody understands, nobody. He hung his head, like crushed by hope so close yet again fading. He let go of Richard and walked away despondently. Leaving me with just one hoarse sentence, I'll get the bartender to help you, you guys go. All those things left me in no shape to drive, so I called for a ride service. Richard's car smelled of flowers, and there were some petals on the back seat. They looked a lot like the ones I saw at the hospital. As a girlfriend, I had the right to ask about the bouquet and protect my supposed girlfriend status. But we're not like regular couples. And my mind was too messed up to care about minor issues. I just wanted to know what happened to Eric these past 4 years. Why did he forget me? Richard sat with me in the back, lying twisted across my lap, looking pretty happy with a grin that never lowered. Melody, let's extend our contract for another 6 months. You're great, I'll give you a raise. He held my hand and slipped on a diamond ring. It was 10 grand a month before, now 20 grand after the extension. If you're not satisfied, I can raise it more. He looked at me with bright eyes, showing dimples as he smiled. It's up to you. Yep, we're a contract couple. Richard was a client at my psychology practice. Honestly, I never really understood why a CEO would find someone like me, not known in the field, as a therapist. Plus, he didn't seem to have any psychological problems, more like he needed paid company. It was right around my mom's first chemotherapy, when I needed money the most. Somehow, Richard learned of my situation and showed up with a contract at my office. He was smiling harmlessly, just like now. MS. Melody, here's a deal. Be my girlfriend. 10 grand a month, 3 months to start, would you consider? Honestly, my first instinct was to slap the contract on his face. I've paid for tuition and living since I was an adult, why would I stoop to signing a deal like this? It's an insult. But I didn't. My mom's illness and desperation for money were challenges I had to face. Reality squashed my impulse. Richard's dimples gave me pause. That day, almost without thinking, I reached my hand towards Richard. Richard, looking forward to working with you. This time though, I didn't immediately agree to extend the contract. I covered his dimples with my hand. Can I think about it? Of course. What you said to Eric. I was cut off by Richard, who lazily closed his eyes. My head hurts, I need some sleep. He knew what I wanted to ask and refused my question. I couldn't ask more, since he was the client. In fact, Richard is quite a decent client. During our contract, he never used his status to push me to do anything. We never shared a bed, either. This contract relationship felt more like a high school romance. At first, Richard looked at me curiously, though I wasn't sure why. Eventually, he seemed to have figured me out and was more casual around me. I was more like his assistant and social accessory. I'd show up when needed and just be there for him. But the less he demanded, the more uneasy I felt. There are tons of amazing women out there. Why did he pick me? Luck? Absolutely not. I never trust luck. I've always been kind of unlucky, honestly. So, what's the real story here? After I saw Richard home and settled, my head was spinning. By the time I got back and lay in bed, I couldn't even remember how I took the bus and subway home. Then my phone rang. Hey Junior, wanna do a side gig this weekend? It was an offer from a memory research company. They had an employee temporarily unavailable, they needed someone. Weekend, as in tomorrow and the day after. There wasn't much going on with the hospital. I asked, how much for 2 days' work? 2,000 a day, 4 grand total. But it will be tough, 12-hour days. For Mom's life and happiness, earning more matters most. I said, thanks, I'll take it. I'll report for work over the weekend. 4 grand. Even though 30,000 might seem like a drop in the ocean compared to 300,000. But compared to other part-time gigs, it's a huge paycheck. For me right now, it's a lifesaver. Selling those presents could barely cover the surgery costs. But that's just getting through this current hurdle. What about the future? Life has to go on, and there will be many unknown challenges ahead. So I still need to earn money. No one becomes wealthy overnight. Money is made by earning it and saving it bit by bit. Your job for the next couple of days is in this room. My temporary coworker led me to a new room, about 50 square meters, surrounded by walls with no windows. The room was empty, with only a pile of boxes in the corner, our voices echoing as we spoke. Your task is to organize the memory capsules into these 3 storage walls. Calling them storage cabinets is an understatement. They're basically 3 walls filled with small compartments like window panes. This isn't just hiring a temporary worker. It feels like they're looking for a nuclear-powered mule. The job is simple, just put the memory capsules and name tags together in the cabinets. I'm right next door, call if you need anything. I grabbed his arm. Are we not working together? No exaggeration, there must be at least 1,000 compartments. Categorizing and placing them requires moving up and down. One person working alone is far too inefficient. Sighing deeply, my coworker complained, the room next to us is half again this size. I'd love some help, even more than you do. Between you and me, the company cracked a new technology recently, but it's still in development, so everyone with any research ability is focused on testing. Resigned, he pulled on gloves and a mask. Let's just do our jobs, okay? Who knows how long I was organizing, my hands moved almost out of muscle memory. Then, a familiar name caught my eye, Eric. A pink tag, representing romantic memories. How is his name here? Could it be that he forgot about me, the memory confusion Richard mentioned? Did he really remove all memories of me? How could he do that? Shaking my head furiously, I tried to erase the thought. It must not be him, just a coincidence of names. Eric isn't a unique name. For sure, it's some stranger named Eric who discarded a love memory here. Melody, you're working, keep calm and let it go, I told myself, taking a deep breath, smiling, and pretending nothing happened. Placing his memory capsule and label into the glass cabinet, as I closed it, my hand wouldn't stop shaking. My heart felt like it was being carved out, an unbearable pain. Weakness gripped my legs, and I fell to the ground, clutching my chest as tears hit the floor like broken pearls. Eric, I whispered shakily, why did you discard our memories? Why? Why throw away those times like trash, leaving me trapped, unable to move on? Is this his way of getting back at me for disappearing without a word? When my coworker came to get me for lunch, I had already wiped away my tears and worked for a while. I was a cold nuclear-powered mule, just here to earn that $4,000. Wow, you did more than me. He marveled, inspecting my progress. They say women hold up half the sky, but you're carrying the whole thing. My coworker stopped at Eric's cabinet, eyeing me with curiosity. Trying to lighten the mood, he said, let me tell you something interesting about Eric. Before I could nod, his story spilled out. Eric, heard of him? The big shot in J City. But he'll never know a chunk of his memory was stored here. Eric doesn't know? How is that? I asked. Only the person themselves can sign off on memory removal, right? Excited, my coworker ripped off his mask, set for a story. Back when we were a new company, Lucy from Ming Phone Group approached us. She wanted her son's memory extracted and promised huge investment for it. The temptation was huge, our boss agreed. Guess how Eric got in? If my coworker weren't at this company, he'd be a hit writing short stories online. Stop teasing, just tell me. I urged, tapping his shoulder impatiently. The coworker continued, Eric, the president, was wheeled in. He didn't even change out of his hospital gown. Our boss lost it, saying surgery can't happen without consent. Lucy just slapped down a check for the deposit, asking if that's enough for her son's surgery now. The saga was fascinating, even to my coworker. Lucy's ruthless. She got Eric's romantic memories removed and stuffed in a study abroad memory to boot. No wonder Eric's a business legend. I didn't hear much else. I was stunned, my brain blank from the new info. I'd blamed Eric wrongly. He was unconscious when memories were pulled. Thinking of Lucy, her weary eyes flashed in my memory, that day outside the surgical room, 4 years ago, our second anniversary. Eric had come home to visit my mom, planning to take photos as mementos of 2 years together. Mom left us the small house, planning a special dinner. Eric grinned. I've heard so much about your mom's braised duck, it's famous. Lucky me. His charm even had my mom singing on her way to work. Then, noisy voices came closer. We're looking for David. They were shouting for my deadbeat dad. David hasn't been here in years, divorced 4 years ago. I told them. The gang leader eyed me, then clapped his hands. David's daughter. David said he was really broke back then, so he sold us his daughter and even showed us her photo. Guys, take this little girl back to the boss. Eric stepped in front of me, grabbing a piece of scrap metal pipe by the water tank at the door. If you want to hurt my girlfriend, you gotta go through me first. The thug leader sneered. Who do you think you are, trying to stop us? Guys, beat this guy up and take the girl. Eric pushed me back into the house and slammed the door shut. I banged on the door. Eric, come in. You'll get hurt. But Eric held the door firmly. He shouted, Melody, hide and don't come out. Our tiny house was too small, no place for me to hide. The safest place was behind Eric, who was shielding me with his body. Tears streamed down uncontrollably. I shakily dialed 911. I could hear the sound of sticks hitting Eric. Hello, J City Police Department. I heard Eric's painful groans. I need to report an emergency. I'm in the outskirts of J City. I heard a knife piercing flesh and Eric stifling his cries of pain. A group of thugs with weapons is attacking someone. I could only hear curses and beatings, no sound from Eric. Please, hurry. Come save us. Save my Eric, please save him. The police arrived as the thugs were about to break in, catching them just in time. I was rescued from the house, and the first thing I saw was Eric. He was lying on a stretcher, eyes closed. Eric. I screamed and lunged towards him but stopped mid-air. He was covered in blood, wounds everywhere, like a broken knight's doll. I didn't dare touch him. I feared causing him pain. I didn't even dare let my tears fall on him. The police said when they arrived, Eric had already fainted, but was still leaning against the door until they came and he finally collapsed. They said they'd never seen someone protect another like him. My hands were stained with Eric's blood. How much blood can one human body endure losing like this? I knelt outside the surgery room, praying to every deity I could think of, Eastern and Western. Though I'm a staunch atheist, at this moment, I truly hoped some God existed. I'd bear any suffering just for Eric's safety. I just wanted him alive. I don't know how long it was before Eric's mom arrived. She was adorned in dazzling jewelry, appearing to belong to a different world than me. She lifted me up off the floor, tears in her eyes. Melody, I know you. When Eric wanted to be with you, I disagreed. He cut ties with the family, refused his inheritance, insisting he wanted to prove his choice was right. And now? You've pushed him to the brink of losing his life. Lucy gripped my shoulders painfully, almost breaking them. But I didn't struggle. I almost wanted her to squeeze harder, even hit me. I wanted to share Eric's pain. The pain in my body couldn't match a fraction of Eric's. I'm begging you, let my son go. He can't risk his life for you. Guilt hit a new peak. I couldn't forgive myself for dragging Eric to the edge of death nor face a mother's wounded eyes. I'll leave him, I said. I'm sorry, I hurt Eric. After that day, I vanished completely from Eric's life. So, in the end, the one who abandoned this love was me. I'm the one to be hated. After my weekend job, though exhausted, I was still worried about Mom. When I got to the hospital on Monday, Eric was already there with Mom. Seeing Eric makes my emotions a mess. I have so much to say, yet nothing seems right, so it all boiled down to, what are you doing here? You didn't reply, guessed you were busy, so I came to keep your mom company. Eric suggested, wanna sit outside? I followed him and sat together on the bench outside the room. He pulled out a familiar little pouch. Got this at the temple for your mom over the weekend. Ask her to wear it for good luck. Next door's family members passing by with water overheard. You really went for a charm? She looked at Eric, admiration in her eyes. Yeah, if the gods are real, they'd pair good people with good people. I felt the need to explain, we're not. But Eric cut me off, thanks for showing the way. Guiding is easy, it's hard getting the charm. It's a 900-step climb, kneeling then bowing every third step. Go back, your kid is thirsty, Eric gently interrupted. Sure, you two chat. I won't bother. The pouch felt light, but in my hand, it was as heavy as 1,000 pounds. It was pure honesty, even after everything's forgotten. My eyes stung, and no matter how I blinked, I couldn't stop the tears. These past days have emptied out the tears I hadn't shed in 4 years. Choking up, I said, thank you, really. Eric wiped my tears softly, coaxing like a child. Hush, don't cry. No sweat for me, I'm a big guy. I can handle it. I owed him once more. What I owe Eric, I'd never repay in this lifetime. After I calmed down, Eric brought up something from before. You never answered my question from our first meeting. Have we met before? How could I answer? Should I just say that your memory was switched by your mom? This betrays a mother. Plus, I broke my promise first. I entered Eric's life again, I didn't vanish for good as I said. If I lie, saying we never met and it's a mix-up, that betrays Eric's sincerity. I had no clue what to do. I steeled myself, replying with, is that answer really so vital? Eric's look darkened, his long lashes casting shadows. 4 years ago, I was in a coma from severe injuries. When I woke up, my first words were, is she okay? I didn't know who she was, or why I asked that. It was as if something deep inside made me speak those words. I thought I was losing my mind. The clash between reality and consciousness tortured Eric these last 4 years. Just mentioning it brings pain to his face. Every night, I dream of a girl crying next to an ambulance. I can't see her face, just hear her voice. She calls my name, telling me to open my eyes. She also says. Eric frowned, clutching his chest, his voice trembling, if something happened to me, how would she live? My head buzzed, leaving me frozen in place. It turns out, 4 years ago, Eric heard it. He heard my grief, my despair. His love was strong enough to resist the loss of memory, leaving a fragment deep in his heart. I couldn't hold back anymore. My obsession broke through my rational restraint. I hugged Eric tightly. 4 years ago, I held back from hugging him because of the blood and wounds. Today, I finally let it out. Eric hugged me tightly too, choking back tears, asking urgently, is that girl you, Melody? Answer me, did we know each other before? I clutched his suit jacket. My mind was a battlefield of tangled thoughts, a tsunami that swept everything away, leaving calm in its wake. I let go of Eric's jacket, wiping away my tears. Eric, look forward, don't look back. There's a story in Greek mythology. Orpheus went to the underworld to save his lost love, Eurydice. The key condition was, he couldn't look back at her until they returned to the world above. But, longing from their separation led Orpheus to look back at the last second. Eurydice was instantly swallowed by darkness, leaving behind a goodbye, unsure if he heard. Some say Orpheus made a poet's choice, keeping her forever in his memory. Others say maybe it was Eurydice who asked him to look back one last time. Whatever made Orpheus look back, all I know is, Eric can't look back to reclaim memory. Without me, his life is smoother. No family breakup, no starting from scratch, no struggling in a tiny rented room with me. He can marry someone suitable, build a happy family. He can be a carefree CEO, avoiding class gap issues. No matter how you calculate it, now is better. But Eric, he doesn't see it that way. He broke free from my embrace, his naturally expressive eyes appearing tear-filled and vibrant. Eric grabbed my sleeve, Melody, they all lied to me. Are you pushing me away too? His voice, nasal and filled with grievance, was hard to resist. I gritted my teeth, turning away. But I'm your sister-in-law. So what if you are? Eric put his hands on my shoulders, forcing me to face him. His eyes, like cherry blossoms wet with dew, were coated with a deep affection that made me sink. From the first moment I saw you, my heart recognized you. It's telling me I was born to love you. He held my hand against his heart. I'm not Orpheus, and you're not Eurydice. I have to look back for the truth, not to lose you, but to avoid losing you. His frank revelation moved and shocked me. I believed in his love. Yet, staring into those eyes reminded me of another pair, Lucy's. Her gaze clung to me like a curse, one I could never shake off. I sighed deeply, rejecting him once more. Sorry, Eric, I still can't accept your love. Eric fell into a prolonged silence. I almost drowned in that suffocating quiet, so I moved to leave. But once again, Eric grabbed my sleeve. Melody, give me time. I'll bring back the truth and give you an explanation. I met Richard at a cafe, returning the diamond ring he'd given me. His smile froze. What's this? I've decided not to renew. I thank Richard for his care and enjoyed working with him. It may sound cliché, but I mean it. I extended my hand. Let's end on a good note. Richard stared at me, blinking uneasily. My straightforward conversation caught him off guard. So I withdrew my hand, giving him space to think, waiting quietly for his response. Richard covered his face with his hands, finally sighing deeply. Honestly, I half expected this, he confessed. But hearing it still leaves me feeling empty. He gave a wry smile. Did I lose to him? What? Nothing. Richard resumed his usual, harmless smile. I enjoyed myself too, Melody. You're a great girlfriend, and I'm sincere about that. Who knows when I'll find another great girl like you. I waved his words off with a smile. Don't over-idealize me. You're wonderful, probably the best client in the world. His smile wasn't a mask anymore. It was genuinely happy. I think I'm pretty great, too. I deserve to meet my true love, right? You definitely will, you deserve it. I extended my hand again, so. Richard took my fingertips like a gentleman. Here's to a good ending. Melody, take care. Richard, goodbye. I'm glad you cared for me, you owe me nothing. Mom started a new phase of chemotherapy. Roger helped us apply for a newly established critical illness treatment fund and it covered $150,000 of our surgical expenses. For the remaining $150,000, I had to sell the gifts Richard gave me, and finally managed to gather the funds for the medical bills. Thanks to the fund, the white coat Eric gave me stayed safe in my closet. I asked the doctor about the fund, wanting to send a thank you letter. But the doctor said the fund sponsors preferred to remain anonymous and didn't want the families to feel pressured. If the families ask, just say they're angel investors, he told me. Whenever I had downtime, I couldn't help but think of Eric. After my confession, I didn't see him for almost a month, no news from him, it was like he vanished from the world. If it weren't for the safety amulet around my mom's neck, I'd have thought our reunion was just a dream. The next time I heard about Eric was from a call by Richard. Melody, there's some news you need to stay calm about. My cousin was in a car accident. The blood drained from my face, and I nearly dropped the phone. How is he? Is he seriously injured? What happened? I can't explain it all now. If you're worried, come by. I'll send you the address. Sitting in the taxi, I found myself repeating the same actions from 4 years ago, mentally praying to every deity I could think of from east to west. Eric survived serious injuries last time, so I hoped he'd be protected this time too. I'd even crawl on my knees, any ritual, as long as he's safe. When I rushed out of the elevator, the first person I saw was Lucy sitting on a bench. Upon seeing me, she calmly stood up. I ran up to her and, before she could speak, I blurted, "Lucy, please let me see Eric. I promise not to bother him after. Even if I can't see him, I just want to glimpse him from afar. I just need to know he's okay. Lucy silently listened to my disjointed pleas. She didn't stop me, she didn't even give me the fearsome look I feared. Instead, she gently stroked my hair, like a mother. Go on in, kid. Eric's waiting for you. I opened the door to the VIP room. Eric wasn't lying on the bed. I searched for him frantically, then suddenly, I was hugged from behind. A familiar voice said, Melody, I'm back. It was Eric. I was so worried, desperate to see him. I broke free from his embrace to face him directly. Weren't you in a car accident? Why aren't you resting, running around like this? I checked him thoroughly from head to toe. Besides the bandage on his head, there were no other injuries. Are you trying to scare me? I thought. As the exhaustion from the frantic rush finally hit, my legs went weak, almost collapsing to the floor. Eric pulled me up, helping me to the bed. He said, I was betting. Betting on your love, betting you'd come. Betting? I was confused. You didn't have a car accident? Eric grinned, dimples showing as he spread his arms. He repeated, Melody, I'm back. Now, without any anxiety, I realized he was whole. He was my Eric. Tears of joy poured out as I leaped into his arms. The feeling of getting back something lost was overwhelming. I sobbed in his arms, I missed you. I really missed you. It was my fault. You've worked so hard, Melody. It's okay to cry it out. I'll be here with you. I don't know how long I cried, but eventually, I was exhausted, resting on Eric's lap. He gently caressed my face, looking at me like I was a treasure he couldn't take his eyes off. He murmured, We've spent more time apart than we have together in this relationship. Let's not miss out on each other anymore. He took out a box and handed it to me. This is for you. Open it. Inside was a pair of exquisite jade bracelets. This was my mom's dowry. She wants me to give them to you. I shot up from his lap. Does this mean your mom approves of me? Of course, Eric chuckled. If you came today, she'd agree to us being together again. But isn't that too easy? Not at all. Richard's loud voice came from the doorway. Eric here was like a guinea pig out of love. A memory institute just developed a technology to restore memories, regardless of how long they've been removed. It means memories can now be reimplanted with a memory chip anytime after removal. This tech isn't mature yet. The pilot program is just internally testing among employees. Eric volunteered, signed the consent forms, determined to regain the memories from 4 years ago. If it failed, our buddy Eric would have risked brain damage or worse, a vegetative state. This convinced my aunt of his dedication. Plus, my aunts always admired self-sufficient and driven women. Not to mention, your emotional plea at the door earlier. Even a heart of stone would have melted. I never imagined Eric devoted so much for our love in just a month. If it hadn't worked, what then? I never had a second thought. I only wanted one thing. Eric wrapped me in his arms. I couldn't bear to lose our shared memories. I wanted to spend forever with you. I hugged Eric tightly back. We have a long, long future ahead. Then, a thought struck me. Hey, wait a minute. How did you even know about that memory institute? Richard, all puffed up, whipped his head around, fussing with his hair and adjusting his tie, trying to make a show, with a million moves in 60 seconds. Eric gave a playful toss of the apple from the bedside to Richard, who pretended to wince, clutching his stomach. Their antics made me giggle, and then Eric said, well, that's a whole other story.